Hi guys, it's Dave Kane here. We've got some pretty important information for you today, and this is in regards to the electromagnetic effects on Ormus materials. Some of you will have seen some of our other videos, and this is talking about the effects of the Ormus materials on our bodies. Anyway, if you haven't seen them, I'm going to give you a nutshell explanation here. Ormic materials are materials that seem to be in a fifth state of matter. Alright, so you're used to your solid, your liquid, your gas. If you supercool materials to the plasma state, there is what they call a plasma state. Obviously there's anti-gravitational behavior and so on. It's a little different than anything that we're used to conventionally. Anyway, the fifth state appears to be when an elemental material is in this state, it sheds its electron valence bonding ring. So for example, if you have table salt, which is sodium and chloride, the two unite and they share a valence bonding ring, and depending on the number of atoms, the bond's intensity is greater or lesser. Anyway, in the ormic state, materials seem to behave as though they are inert gases. Inert gases do not have valence bonding rings, and they just behave generally on their own and don't chemically bond to other materials. This state is also a state that can occur in other materials. Alright, that said, that's a real nutshell thing for Ormus, because it takes a couple of hours to kind of give you a drift on this. But what we do know, Mr. David Hudson was able to ascertain that 5% of the dry weight of the human brain and nervous system is composed of materials in the ormic state. Alright, that said, that is a part of our physical construction. What we have seen, Ricky and I, in our research, is that these ormic materials are repelled by electromagnetic fields. And when you think about it, it's not much, but this may be the explanation of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of brain tumors that are occurring now in the cell phone ear, because you now have a 6 megahertz transmitter that's spending untold numbers of hours right next to that area. What we believe is going on is that the Ormus materials, though they are not chemically consumable or utilizable, are working in a governance and regulatory capacity. When you cause these governance and regulatory materials to be moved away from a particular site, in the case of a cell phone, what you do is eliminate the intelligence or the consciousness that coordinates the removal of damaged material. The condition of cancer is damaged DNA replicating itself incorrectly. It's always the same thing. They name it by where it is or what it is or how big it is or what have you, but this is what it is. It's damaged DNA replicating itself incorrectly. Now, two ways to look at this. One is to try and replace the materials that are being depleted that allow these things to happen. The other side of it is to reduce your exposure to the intensity and the time duration of these electromagnetic fields. Alright, we don't know exact frequencies causing exact results, but in our research we're seeing a very significant pattern that's increasing on many, many levels worldwide. Everything from the cell phone tumors to, I mean, that's the extreme example. What most people are affected by are things like long-term exposure to low amounts. The average household in the Western world today has now gone wireless with your computers. You have a microwave oven which is putting out emissions in certain other frequency ranges. We have actually seen people have a great leap forward simply by removing the clock radio from the side of their bed, because that clock radio, many of them have a field that is about 4 feet radius from the clock. So the thing is, these appliances could be built correctly and neutralize these fields, but they aren't because they don't recognize that these things are there. You can buy a little device called a Gauss meter, Gauss. You can buy it at science shops, perhaps teacher and high school supply shops. You can find them on the internet. This device you can use to measure electromagnetic fields, and we've done this around our house, 4 feet from the clock radio. The new light bulbs that they're telling everybody to put in the house, the little screw-in little curly light bulbs, these things have a 5-foot radius field. So if you're sitting reading underneath one of these, you're in this constant field. And even though it's not a strong field, what it's doing, it's causing the repulsion of the ormic materials out of your system. All right? Evidence for this. In our research, we'd sold a bottle of Ormus to a lady in Ontario here, and one of the interesting things about Ormus is if you apply it to a burn, it stops the pain immediately. And this was our first occasion to see what's going on here. She was on her second bottle. She got a burn in her kitchen. She went into the bedroom. We recommend you keep your Ormus in the bedroom away from the electrical parts of the house as much as possible. She put the Ormus on the burn and nothing happened. So we got on the phone, we got talking for a little while, and what we realized is she'd put it in her bedroom and she had put it in the upper drawer of her night table. On top of the night table, she had a walk-around phone base station. Now, at first we didn't really connect this. We gave her another bottle of Ormus and we recommended you don't put it there. The thing that reinforced this was another lady that bought some Ormus in Florida, put it in the closet in her bedroom, went away for 2 weeks, and when she came back, she had the bottle was wrapped up in foil. That's how we ship it to help protect it. She unwrapped the foil from the bottle, took pictures, and phoned us and says, "What's going on here?" Because the inside of the foil had turned black that was against the bottle, and the bottle was covered in oil even though it hadn't been opened. So again, on a bit of investigation, we finally realized there was a water heater from a back workroom that was adjacent to her closet, which she didn't realize was there, never thought about. And that field from the 3000 watt upper element was only about a foot away from the Ormus bottle. Now that's not a strong field, and it's only intermittent. But over the period of 2 weeks, it had put enough force from the field to cause the ormic material to pass through the bottle. But as it was projecting its field through the foil on the near side, it didn't seem to have enough force to cause the Ormus to pass through the foil on the far side. So it collected in between. So it may eventually be a method that can be used to measure Ormus materials, because that's severely lacking today. But it would take some research, some setup, some material, and some money, which unfortunately we don't have very much of. But anyway, this is what we saw. Now we had another lady who had some Ormus she kept in her purse, and within a couple of days she put it on a burn and it didn't do anything, but it was in a purse with a cell phone. Alright, now, electromagnetics. Some of the things that I would like you guys to realize, a couple of websites you can check for information. One is a lady named Magda Havas. It's Magda HAV as in Victor AS. She has been collecting research material. She has blood pictures. Your blood physically moves within 10 minutes of exposure to a cell phone, and even wireless computers which aren't as strong. There's a hierarchy of strength to some of these materials, and we'll touch on that a little bit, or some of these fields, and we'll touch on that in a few minutes. But anyway, Magda has some wonderful information, and she's showing coagulation of blood platelets, the hemoglobin. Anyway, these are things you need to know about. Another website to look at is a man named Barry Trower, Trower. Barry, I listened to him talk. He's a very interesting fellow. He was a British microwave and electromagnetic specialist in the military from the 60s on. He's now retired, and he travels. He came to Canada at his own expense to do a lecture here, informing and teaching people about, in our case particularly, Wi-Fi being installed in schools. Whether your area has this or not, I don't know, but in Peterborough, Ontario, we have a school board here that decided that Wi-Fi should be installed in all the elementary schools. Even though these devices can be plugged into a cable, they've decided that this needs to be wireless, and they're using industrial strength wireless transmitters that'll go through several concrete walls. And anyway, our kids are being bathed in this stuff the entire time they're in school, and we're beginning to find here in Ontario the kids are getting sick, they can't concentrate, they're getting depleted in a lot of ways. They're going home dead tired. I mean, little kids shouldn't be dead tired at 3 o'clock. They're like little springs. Anyway, this is what's going on. We also know that in Taiwan they've been taking it out of 1,700 schools, if it's not already out. Switzerland, they've been taking it out of schools, and so on. Certain private schools in Britain and France is attending to this as well. So I mean, these are people that have had these systems in for 10 to 12 years, and they've noticed significant changes on children's health in particular. There is no test that we've been able to find anywhere in the world by anybody on children with electromagnetic exposures. It does not exist. In Canada, we have something here called Safety Code 6, which the government keeps falling back on for all of their arguments. When we complain, they bring in a government rep and they say, oh, Safety Code 6. Safety Code 6 is essentially American, and it was a test done by the military at how long a 200-pound soldier could work 6 feet in front of a microwave broadcast dish before his flesh temperature started to increase. And that was 6 minutes, according to this test. So this is the safety code test that they're using in Ontario to back up microwave broadcasting onto children that are 3.5 feet high, and some of them weigh only 40, 50 pounds. Anyway, there's no parallel here. It's a bunch of bureaucrats that are simply crossing their T's and dotting their I's and letting you worry about everything. I'm sure it's similar in most areas. Anyway, enough said on that. Those 2 pages will bring you up to date on some of these effects. There are on the net now a few YouTubes showing the degradation of plant material along the side of people's homes when they have had transmitting power meters or digital meters installed on the homes. Again, this is something you can see. You can have a look at your own house. They are in this great forward thrust to have these meters installed on everybody's houses. At home here, they are setting up now water meters, which will also be transmitting meters. Someone, I think there's a chap named Rob State, and I think he may have some of those videos posted up as well of some of the degradation of the plant material. Now, it's interesting because as you get farther from the meter, the same plant is much healthier, more distant from the meter. Generally, on measuring these devices, you need to be 92 feet away from one of these meters before it drops to 2 milligauss. All right. Now, as I understand these meters, a broadcast power meter will broadcast 400 times per day at present. And that means that every time there's a power change in your house, a fridge kicks on, a fridge kicks off, any automated devices that you have will cause a change in the effect of the power meter. And then anything that you physically do, you turn a light on when you're home, you turn this off. So it adds up to about 400 transmissions per day. Now, the way the system is set up, most of these systems seem to have a relay meter in every 200th house. I guess it's just for proximity. Anyway, so this meter will rebroadcast from 200 other homes through your power meter, if you're the lucky one. So you will now have 200 times 400 broadcasts from your home over the period of a day.